All right. Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the HUUSD school board meeting for October 8th. We're on. Thank you. Um, Welcome to the school board meeting for October 8th, 2020. Call the meeting to order at 6:04. And we have public first, and we have someone here from the public. Would you like to speak? Right up here to that mic. You're the first person to test drive the system of sitting at the lonely desk. Yeah. And press your button on.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Would you like me to restart or did you catch?
I
Okay.
didn't catch anything, so if you don't mind restarting, I would prefer that, but I can also catch up later.
Yep. No, that's fine.
Thank
Uh,
you.
my name is Michael Brown and I live in Moortown. My two daughters attend Moortown Elementary, currently in second and fourth grades. I'm here tonight to discuss the absence of the school bus for my house that is located on a Class 3 town road. We live 4.1 miles from the Moortown Elementary School. In August of 2024, shortly before school was to begin, our stop was removed from the bus schedule. If I can remember correctly, we had less than 2 weeks' notice prior to the start of school. We had to alter our schedules and sign our kids up for more after school programming. I've spoken with Dr. Mike and Steve Rosenberg about this in different capacities since our stop was removed. I was told that our stop was canceled due to a lack of drivers. So one route was canceled and two routes combined to get to the current bus routes that we have today for Moortown School. I pay the same tax rate and get taxed the same as other homes in Moortown that are located on a Class 3 town road. The lack of a bus has caused us to spend more on after school childcare, reduce my capacity for work, and to drive more. I feel that we are entitled to the same opportunities as other households that are taxed the same and located on a Class 3 or better town road. There are three other houses that are past mine that are in the same situation and would benefit from a bus route to our area of town. As far as I can tell, this is the only non-equitable budget cut the HUUSD has made. In 2028, my daughters will be attending two different schools in the HUUSD. My older daughter will be at Harwood Middle School, while my younger daughter will still be at Moortown. They will be on different schedules at the beginning and end of the day. What does the district think will be reasonable for us when we have two children on different schedules and no bus service? If I have to drop them off and pick them up at different times, this would essentially make it impossible for me to complete my job. Currently, both of my kids attend Neck of the Woods now a few days a week. In 2027, my older daughter will be in sixth grade at Moortown Elementary School. Now does not serve kids beyond fifth grade. What will our household be expected to do in this situation when we have no bus service, school ends at 2:30, and our sixth grader cannot attend now? And to reiterate, we are taxed the same as other homes in Moortown that have bus service. Having to drop off and pick up our kids on different schedules when they attend different schools will essentially make it impossible for me to do my job. This appears to be the only inequitable budget cut the district has made. I'm not asking just for my stop to be put back in the budget, but other stops that were cut as well. Those households are potentially in the same situation that we are, paying more for after school while working less and driving more. The Harwood Unified Union School District vision statement, as listed on the district's website, is as follows. The HUUSD provides a rigorous, innovative, and student-centered educational experience in a welcoming and inclusive environment while ensuring equity, effectiveness, and efficiency. We will partner with our community to achieve our vision for excellence. Thank you for having me.
We don't respond in this meeting, but we heard what you said. And we
Yeah,
will talk it through.
thank you. Yeah,
Thank you very
Steve
much.
clarified that we wouldn't have a round table discussion. So
Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah,
We appreciate it.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. And yeah, Steve said you guys are talking about the budget later, but I've got another kid at home, so we're going to scoot and maybe tune in live or something. So,
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Anyone else in public comment? Is there anyone in the room with their hand raised? Do they have a hand up? If you're in Zoom and you'd like to make a comment, put up your virtual hand. If not, we'll move on. I will be looking for a motion to approve the agenda. From Bobby, a second. Emily, all those in favor? Aye. Everyone read the leadership report, I assume. Wanted me to remind those of you in the room and in Zoom whose terms are going to come up in the spring to start to contemplate how you feel about that and hope that you will rejoin the board. But just so I have the list of people, but I think everybody knows who they are if their term is coming to an end. Also, we want to congratulate the men's Harwood Division II golf team for winning the state final. Hooray. Congratulations to them. Grady says this is homecoming and that there's been a bunch of sports today. So can we get a little update on that?
So girls states golf is on Friday. There was a field hockey game today, which was 0-1. Lost in overtime, which is sad, but it was by 1 point. Yeah, so they played well. The girls volleyball had a game on their senior night on Monday, and they won that. Girls soccer had a game yesterday, and they tied it. Boys soccer has a game right now, and I don't know what the score is. It's homecoming weeks. We've got the dance on Friday. Harvest Fest is tomorrow, so all of the grades will be going out and volunteering. The seniors will be going to Mad River Glen and doing some volunteering, then hiking up the mountain there. Staff versus student soccer game is also tomorrow. We had our pep rally on Monday, and that was fun. We have a mascot now, which is I don't know who it is, but it's a big cow costume. I think it's Charlotte, but she won't say. Anything else happening?
Decided that we would have a cow for a mascot.
So I am not the cow. I'm a little upset that I wasn't asked to be the cow, but I think that the assembly program and Meg, our principal, decided that we should have a mascot other than our student plaid, who is kind of the leader of our hype committee. And they have been slacking recently, but the cow is a Highlander cow, and we are the Highlanders. So we now have a cow costume.
And it was decided because we bought it last year for something else.
And I think it's going to be used a lot. I walked into the auditorium today because I heard singing and I saw a teacher wearing it. So, or at least just the head. So I don't know what he was doing with it, but yeah, masked singer for assemblies. That's fun. I like that. Any questions other than Cindy's?
Can we not get someone in a kilt for crying out loud?
We have Heidi, who puts on a kilt. We had somebody who wore a kilt 3 years ago. Did Will wear a kilt? We had somebody 2 years ago as well. But The hype isn't there. Our plaids just won't wear the kilt for some reason.
Will the cow wear the kilt?
That would be a question for the cow.
I'd like to nominate JB to be the kilt wearer.
What was the question on Zoom?
I would like to nominate JB Weir as the kilt wearer.
Oh, good one. He's not even here. We'll do that before he gets here. Excellent. Yes, is mine working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Grady. That was great. Okay, everyone received some information that Corey was nice enough to distribute about the Career Center, because as we know, that is the vote that is coming up and is important to all of us. And Corey's going to give us a little more, and we can talk about any questions. Corey?
Yes, can you hear me? Is this working? Yeah, so the Central Vermont Career Center had a forum before our board meeting last night. We had a good turnout. I would say there was probably 30 people that called in, several making comments. I would say everybody is certainly in support of the Career Center, but a lot of concerns, of course, around the cost. So the vote will be November 4th. The proposal, I'm sure you've all read, is for $149 million bond for a new facility that would be located in Graniteville town of Barry. It's a really nice looking building that Truex has put together. I sent out a link with some videos. It does some nice little 3D walkthroughs and talk. There's some presentations, of course, too. A couple tidbits of information that I just pulled out as I couldn't get any slides together, but for this year, the Career Center had 443 applicants and only able to accept 228 of them. For Harwood, we had 60 applicants and they were able to accept 38, and between waitlisted and denying, 22 weren't able to get in. So the plan for the new facility would house 450 students, which would accommodate what Harwood seems to be applying, and for the other areas too. I have some yarn ornaments if you'd like to take. So some show and tell. Those are actually made by the Career Center in the graphic art program, which is really neat. Those are my notes that I wanted to make sure I got. I guess I wanted to open it up to any questions you guys might have that I can bring back and get answers to.
Thanks for that. I saw the video. It looks awesome. I got my yard sign. But seeing this, that it's basically just going to double its capacity. How many other kids, like outside of our district, have been turned away? And the question really goes to, is this new facility, is it actually going to meet the need? Because once it's built and it becomes more popular, I think it'll be a better option for a lot of kids. Is 443 really going to cut that, you think?
So the plan is for the new facility to house 450 students, up to 500 students. The applicants for the last 4 years has been 340 to 440 applicants. I believe that they feel the projections are there that they would be able to house that. It's also being built on a site that it's 27 acres. So it looks like there could be some expansion opportunities down the road if it continued to grow.
I'm not super familiar with sort of the workings of this program. And so when I was reading some of the information that we got emailed, this week, about how they split off into their own district. And this is actually a question about the whole consolidation stuff. So with this, projected building of this new facility, is this something that could then be swallowed up, if you will, in the consolidation project? It would.
I think the feeling was we're not sure. It could be. right? Could be.
Followed up. What do you mean exactly?
I guess from what I remember in my days here at Harwood, sort of the other programs, this school would be something that was at one point there was something associated with Harwood, and then it has grown to being in this facility. I just honestly wasn't sure if it was part of the state program or if it was something that was independent from the state.
Career Center, this one has been at Spalding High School for a really long time, and it is busting its seams. And when all the schools stopped doing these programs in-house, out of whatever, the Career Center started stopping more people. That's why. I mean, that's that. Now we don't have that. Everybody wants it because we need all those roles. So I think it'll be good.
Relative to what you're saying about being swallowed up or not. In fact, one of the things they're looking at, that the redistricting people are looking at, is redistricting to mirror some of these centers, these career centers, that because they're beyond what our district is, obviously, and they're even beyond Washington. They just Washington County? They're beyond, I mean, but I mean this one, our career center that we go to. The one in Barry, is that one? It's 13 towns, right? So one of the things they're looking at in redistricting is, should they redistrict looking to mirror that rather than being swallowed up? That's all.
I think the support is there for the student needs. I think everyone's pretty much in agreement that we need this. But my questions were more about how it impacts Harwood specifically. If we take another 20 or 25 students out of Harwood, and because there's more capacity now at the tech center, what does that look like for us? We're already facing declining enrollment for the last 20 years or so. Does that have a significant impact on our budgets, on our just the kind of feeling around here of it being emptier, those type of things?
Lisa can take that.
Well, hello. It will have a slight impact on our budget, absolutely, because they take an average over 6 semesters. So students going there, the average will go up, and more money will be flowing to based on the average that we have to pay. So it will impact our budget.
Our pupil count wouldn't be impacted necessarily. Is that accurate? Because it's not a full-time school, so there still are students, but then we are impacted by setting the tuition out. Is that right?
Sending the tuition out based on the average number of students, and our pupil count will go down.
So just ballpark, if we're looking at sending another 20 to 25 students, we could be looking at sending out another $500,000 a year from our budget.
So, just to clarify, this bond is going to be spread out across our entire CTE district, which is the central district. And how long is the bond for?
We're looking at it, it's a 30-year bond.
Is there a ballpark average tax rate?
Yeah, so I sent out a slide. I have it in front of me.
I don't think the students receive that.
Got it.
Yeah.
I think it's the lowest increase will go up 2.62%, and the highest would be 8.9%, and that's across all the sending schools, all the sending towns, right? I can tell you for Waterbury, if you have a $300,000 house, your tax bill will go up $273. So whatever, I think it's less than, is that less than 1%? Can't do math very quick on the spot like that. So there's a wide range depending on the sending towns.
Steve?
Just to add to Dan's comments, I mean, we live and die by budget issues here, but we all know there's tremendous need for people in the trades that the Career Center provides. And also there seems to be tremendous desire among our students to go there, to go into these trades. So I think we have to balance that against the budget implications. And personally, I'm coming out on the side of being in favor of the bond.
Just one I found well, not interesting, but I guess to point out, we had several I would call older folks last night speak out, and many of them were strongly speaking in favor of this bond, even though it would affect them financially. They can't climb ladders themselves. They can't fix their cars themselves. Like Steve said, we need these people to fill our spots, and we need them to stay here and do it. So supporting the Career Center is huge. Oh, Jody is actually presenting right now in Washington Central. And then Saturday, she'll be at Waitsfield Transfer Station from, I believe, 9 to noon. So if you're on a dump run in Waitsfield, you can stop by and chat with her. I guess she did it this past weekend in Montpelier or Barrie, and she said it went really well. So, yep.
Yeah, I think reiterating, it's a regional program. And so it services those 18 towns. And then there's other career centers in other parts of the state. And it is a model of regionalization. I think in terms of the tax implications, it could change a lot. I don't know how it might even benefit us if we cleared some space in this building. Might that be advantageous? That we could reconfigure what we're doing within our own district? I guess that's a Lisa question.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, this building is tight as it is now. Just when we were looking back, trying to identify space for the central office, it was difficult with shifting. So there's not, within the current envelope, it would be difficult. There is space that is planned, hopefully in the future, for STEM or a type of maker space that we hope to be able to put in, but that's in the future.
Is it your understanding that it would continue the same model that we have now, or would they begin to get other classes so they would not go back to their sending school? So you could be there a full day.
Has been talked that would be a possibility, not necessarily adding what we know like math and English traditionally here, but integrating that more into the programs directly so that it satisfy that criteria.
Go ahead.
I think this is how it works, and tell me if it's not, but basically 10th grade can do like an exploratory program, just kind of a general, and then you apply for something specific your junior year and then apply again your senior year. Okay.
Actually, with the new, if it goes through and we get the new building, they potentially could shift that exploratory to a younger age to middle schools. And maybe ninth and 10th grade is what we currently do, but there's potentially we could get into like 8th graders.
So the $149 million gets bonded, but it ultimately comes out of the state fund, right? So how does that work? Are we paying only a portion of the 149 million in the end? Do you have a rough sense of how much that might be?
Yeah, so I totally missed that somewhere along the line. I was reading that in a letter from the state tax person. So what I don't know is, like I just mentioned before, a $300,000 house in Waits in Waterbury is 273. I don't know if they're considering the dilution. Is there a dilution factor like when it goes to the state funding thing?
It's we all contribute to that. So it's part of the educational fund and we all contribute to that bond. So there is somewhat because it's parceled out amongst all of us that are in that pot. So the per pupil threshold, they put that in recently to hold off any capital improvements right now. And there is, if we add debt, new debt, anything beyond fiscal year 24, it, if we were to go out for a bond, it's added to our debt. We have debt prior to fiscal year 24, and that's actually excluded from our educational formula funding. Anything beyond fiscal year 24, any new debt now gets included as part of your educational spend, and it's somewhat of a penalty if you exceed your threshold. This would be counted as our debt. No, this would be part of the formula fund. Is not part of our debt. That because I have to look into that and get back to you on that. I don't know what their current per pupil special. I think they're under, but I'd have to look into that. I don't know. Did they mention that, Corey, yet? Okay. What their current per pupils. I will look into that and get back to you at the next meeting.
So at some point in hopefully the near future, this district is going to need to pass our own bond, correct? Is asking the voters in this district to pass this bond, would that in any way decrease the viability that we pass our own bond? And like, our roof is going to cave in. So like I'm worried not about the priorities, but I'm worried about the consequences of the decisions here.
Cashel, you have a keen sense of decision making, as well as the politics at play, as well as governance at play, in terms of what do we put forward and what do we think about when we say, how much do we ask of the community, and what do we ask them to prioritize. We also have to think about, in this very, very odd state that we find ourselves in, where the state is asking us to possibly consider reorganization in terms of different redistricting plans, where we all are in that and where we fit in that. So there's a lot of moving pieces, and there's a lot of I don't knows and a lot of question marks. So we're trying to triage and control what we can. And that may look odd at first when you look at priority sets or when you look at things that are coming down the road and why prioritize this over that. But it's contextually part of this long overlooming thing that's happening with the state versus what's happening with this local thing that we call a school district. that we're trying to mitigate for these two very different things that are happening at the same time, which means that we always want to take what's happening locally, contextually, also with what's happening at the state level, so that it doesn't look like to the taxpayer that we're saying we only value this and not these other thing as well, because we value it all, but some things have to look different moving it forward because contextually speaking, we have a lot of question marks moving forward that need to be addressed before we're able to move some other pieces around on the board, if that makes sense.
Oh, it is complicated for us, and we sit here with a lot of unanswered questions, and I, for one, want to promote. I'm going to put one of those signs in front of my house, and I'm going to vote personally for the bond. We're not going to make a public announcement that this board supports. This is a board of individuals, and we are all from different towns. I'm going to support it because I've lived here all my life, and I've watched the the financial savings is, or the financial outlay becomes so critical that we kick projects away and kick them down the road and kick them down the road. Well, now, there aren't enough plumbers and electricians and welders and chefs and all that. There aren't enough here. So if we kick this project again, they have worked incredibly hard to bring a bond to the table. Like, we all here know how hard that is and how brave it is, honestly. I mean, this is a hell of a temperature to bring a bond to the table. So, that is a solid, that is the single question that the board is wrestling with the most. How do we bond for our own work? Which schools do we bond? What do we do? And how do we compete with this enormous bond? Which will, for my taxes, it will, like for the average house, it's going to put your taxes up. I just got, for my own town is going to build a town garage because we need that. It's going to put my taxes up again. And my taxes, as we all know, our taxes all went up last year. So it's scary. So, well, good question. Have any other questions for Corey?
How is it decided with the voting how the bond passes, right? Like, let's say our district, we know that we've got to do a bunch of stuff on our own buildings. People are thinking in the back of their mind, we might have to have our own bond. Let's say our district, 3 of the 6, 7 towns vote no. Does that affect like, how does that work?
Well, it's good, all commingled, so we won't know what towns vote. It's just a simple majority. Simple majority, yep.
No,
No.
and the individual voters' vote really matters. It really, really matters. And if a town who really wants it shows up in force, that could swing the vote very easily.
Curious about our numbers here of like enrollment and amount of kids that have dropped out, that had this been an option, this would have set out a completely different trajectory. I work in a different community where I'm positive that that's the case. Kids are pretty clear whether or not they're academic by 6th and 8th grade. Not the trade school's not. It's just it's a different track that's not always available. We have a lot of working class people without generational wealth where college isn't really an option. And just finishing a 4-year regular high school with nothing specific, living in your parents' house because there is no housing, there is no next step. This to me is the strategy we need to do to get those kids to be real actionable pieces of our community. There's just not a lot of hope. I don't know if I had a question. That is all.
Other comments or questions related to the Career Center? Make sure you do vote. If you are of age to vote, do it. Okay. Without that, the next report is from Lisa, CFO.
Just a couple of updates. I included a Q1 report. We are tracking slightly higher, and that's primarily from, I actually ended up paying debt in first quarter rather than in second quarter. So you'll see some of our numbers jumped up a little bit. So we're just tracking slightly higher, but all is good. It is going to be a very, very tight year. So we are monitoring it. I have not closed fiscal year 25 as of yet. Our audit was pushed back to the second week of November. We did do a trial balance, but we are still waiting to finalize some transfers and journal entries, and we will be hopefully closed by in 2 weeks, all prepared for the auditors. I did want to mention the federal government shutdown and impacts. Primarily, we have been advised that it is not really going to affect us as of yet. This is what we've been told. Most of the funding, educational funding, is forward, and they have for the federal government fiscal year 25, which is a school year 25-26. They are able to draw down. We were notified on, this AOE was notified on July 1st, and then again on October 1st. So there might be some delays in communication, but right now we don't anticipate or expect any delays in our funding. So that's good news. I do want to bring to your attention that we have an emergency repair at Brookside roof. We had planned on replacing the south building roof next summer 26. However, due to the rain we had 2 weeks ago and last night, we had some leaks in the roof, and we had to bring a vendor back who has done many portions of the Brookside roof and is very familiar with replacing other sections of the roof in that building. And there is no way to repair that roof. There needs to be an emergency replacement of that roof. I will be asking during action items that we charge that to our maintenance reserve. It's $56,000 to replace that roof. We underran some of the projects this summer, so there is funding. Everything that we had projected to spend over this past summer, we underexpended, so we have room in our maintenance reserve to fund this. If we do not approve it, we'll be funding. If it is not approved out of the maintenance reserve, we'll be funding it out of the general reserve, the general budget. And I'm very concerned this year. We're running very tight on our budget, and I'm concerned if we were to keep adding these things that are coming up, that we will be looking at an overdraft at our school year, at the end of the school year, and I'm hoping we're not at that point. So I would be up during the action items. I'm asking that it be approved to be drawn from the maintenance reserve. I also included fiscal year 27's budget plannings starting. Just finished, feels like we finished 26. I included a budget timeline as well as a budget calendar. I am looking to do, let me pull up my calendar. I am looking to do the first draft of the budget on, look at my calendar, November 19th. On November 5th, I hope to have our budget discussions so I can prepare for our first draft for November 19th. So at the November 5th meeting, when I'd like to be able to talk about scenarios, charges, expectations. It is going to be a very tough budget year, as we know we're facing. And looking at whether it will be level funded, level service, an increase, will come to you and speak to you at that meeting with these discussions. But in order to prepare for that first draft, at that prior meeting, we'll need to be talking about that. So I can be preparing scenarios. I am meeting with administrators, principals, preparing their budgets. Last year was extremely difficult to get to the number we needed to get to. We had to make cuts. It was a very difficult, and even seeing the numbers that are coming in already this year for certain things, special ed, supplies, maintenance, we are running, with our encumbrances, we are going to be running very tight. So it's going to be, again, a difficult budget year. So the first draft of the budget will be on November 19th. The second draft will be on December 3rd. And then the final review would be in January. But again, that's as we remember the December 1st tax letter comes in, and then in early January, then we also get the CLA information by towns, and I'm able to then project the taxes out. Some preliminary, I'm at my VASBO meeting on Friday. We are talking about some preliminary assumptions. And again, we are looking at healthcare at a double-digit number. I'm projecting right now between 10 and 12%. I hope to have a little more information on Friday from VHI, who attends our meetings at VisBit on Fridays. So hopefully, I hopefully get good news and that it's less than double digits, but we are anticipating double digits again. So any questions on?
Go ahead, Jonathan.
That's all right, Ashley. I rescind my hand raising.
Show action. Okay.
Just going back to the issue of the roof at Brookside, I'm wondering how much of this could also be an effect of some of the tremendous rainstorms that we've had and a beating that roofs may be taking. And now we've got a drought. I don't know how this would affect those materials, but I just wondered if there might be some value in looking into FEMA, I hate to even say it, or other kinds of insurance that might have covered that. Probably not.
This is on the south building of Brookside. It's just age, wear and tear, and it's due to be replaced. It was scheduled for next summer. It's just with some of the shingles that it's not an insurance issue that we would be able to claim. It's deferred maintenance and repair. I mean, it just is old.
Will there be any will there be any disruption to Brookside? Okay. And then two, of the roof work, what else? Is there another portion of the building that's going to lose a roof soon too?
When they were doing their inspections, this is what needed to be replaced right away. There are ongoing repairs that we are doing, but they're expected immediately to go in if it's approved tonight on starting October 10th. So we get in, get out. They're going to be shutting down the road on is it Friday, October 10th? Yeah. Yes, no school on Friday. So they're going to be clearing off the roof. They're barricading it so they can do that work, clear off the roof, and then replace it right away. So the vendors ready to go and to deploy and get it done quickly.
Dan, and then Steve.
Thanks. I have no question necessarily to doubt what Evergreen Roofing is saying or what Truex is saying, but I find it odd that Truex gave Brookside a green light on the roofing, saying that that was one of the things that was in good shape, and that was only engineers looking at it this summer. Is there a reason for that conflict?
That was we recently did the north building, so the north building was done, and we did share with them that the south building was scheduled next summer to be replaced. With recent some possible wind damage, but they knew it was on the schedule to be replaced next summer. We just have to push it up. It's not cost effective for the amount of repairs that we would have to do. It's beneficial to just go in and replace the whole roof.
I want to switch the discussion a little. So if there are more questions about Brookside, I can wait.
Carry on.
Okay. I did want to ask Lisa about the issues that Michael Wilson brought up about busing. So my understanding is, we cut busing routes last year, both because of issues finding drivers and just to save money. And for this particular Moortown Mountain Road route, is there a way to restore the part that's been cut? Are there drivers available? How much money would it cost? This is kind of the wrong time to be asking to spend more money. I understand. He has to drive either 2 miles to the nearest bus stop or 3 miles to school. It's kind of a bad choice. We'll go for it.
So initially the budget, the reduction in service from 17 buses to 13 buses initially was due to driver shortage. If you recall 2 years ago, we had to constantly combine routes because we were constantly short drivers. And we had to make consolidations. And what we tried to do, again, it wasn't initially driven by cost savings. This was because of driver reduction. So what we tried to do, we worked with First Student, Dan at First Student, and to be able to consolidate where we can to make sure that nobody is traveling more than a mile to get to a consolidation. And this was throughout our district. So we went from 17 buses down to 13 buses with consolidation. Unfortunately, in doing so, we actually also ended up saving. And that was part of the old contract. We are considering, right now, I have reached out to First Student to see if there's anything we can do with Moortown Mountain Road. I understand he's traveling 4.2 miles each way several times a day for pickup and drop off. So I am working with First Student to be able to see if there's anything that they can do to consolidate. Initially, they're saying no, it's difficult because there's elementary students in the morning, and then we have, there's 2 levels of runs, elementary and then high school and middle school. There are 6 students at this location. Right now, the only option would be if we were to add an additional route. Right now at Moortown, bus 7 and bus 8 run out of Moortown. We would have to add a 3rd bus. To add a 3rd bus, it would cost us $80,000 a bus. Any additional bus will cost $80,000 a bus for a year. Yes. So what I'm trying to work with First Student to see, is there anything else that we can do to be able to work on this issue? Moortown was not the only town that was affected. We reduced 3 buses, total of 4 buses. I'm sorry, total of 4 buses, 2 in Waterbury, 1 in Moortown. Working with First Student to see if we can resolve this. There had another issue at Camel's Hump and Blush Hill Road. They resolved that distance in the afternoon, and we're still trying to work on that in the morning, trying to resolve that issue.
I appreciate that. And of course, it's crazy to think of spending $80,000 on 5 or 6 students, of course. So again, if you could twist First Student's arm to see if they can just extend their route a little bit. I appreciate it.
I will work with First Student. I just do know Moortown is Right now, some of those students are on the bus for just under an hour. So, I will continue to work with them to be able to address that and see what we can resolve. But any additional bus that we add will cost 80,000.
You know, you didn't mention, you said Camel's Hump there at the end. My kids live up on Camel's Hump. They went from having to go down about a mile to the bus pickup place to 2 miles. And they have kids in the elementary school and in the middle school. So 4 trips a day were increased by that much mileage. Now, I'm not saying they'd want another bus back, but is there any, you're going to start hearing from other towns and other people on other routes. It's a wicked problem for them. They happen to work at home, so they've been able to make the adjustments they needed to make. But I can understand the gentleman who spoke to us here. Anyway, that's all. I'm just saying, I think that I don't know what some of the folks up in Waterbury Center probably have some pretty significant distances, and all of our town. I mean, that's an issue for us everywhere. So how we can look at extend that, and I think this issue of the different time periods for schools where they have one kid having to get down to Waterbury at 7:30 and another one having to get down there at 8:30 and then picked up at 2:30 and 3:30. It's just crazy.
Opportunity here to do some creative problem solving and trying to figure out how we can incentivize people to think about carpooling. There are 6 students on this block. Can we target a letter to those guys so they can start the conversation or something to kind of be the catalyst to get that going? It's not what people necessarily do normally. I think that if we were individual schools, we'd probably do more of it, maybe lose some of that consolidation, but some creative problem solving, because he's right. It's eroding at his hours that he can work, and they're paying the same. Are there things that other districts have done? I mean,
Also, I took the bus. I live on Camel's Hump Road, and I would walk home from school 1.5 miles to my house. And this, when it moved down the road to about 3 miles from my house, I started riding with a neighbor, but to school and home from school. But the students who are riding in the morning, they're also coming from Waterbury and then coming into Duxbury to get kids. And it's also adding quite a long period of time that students are taking on the bus, in addition to just their regular routes to and from and to school, if that makes sense. Like, the consolidation is making trips longer.
Thank you, Charlotte. Rebecca, that's a interesting idea to work on a carpool. I mean, if we can't solve it with a bus, there may be another way we can facilitate a beginning or a conversation or something. It's a good idea. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was thinking that as well, and even thinking about Charlotte saying she walked 1.5 miles. That actually used to be standard. So I mean, maybe looking at combinations of that, and I know it's one of the things they studied on the facility study was walkability, and thinking about that. I guess I was going back to the issue of the staggering. My understanding is that the buses were staggered to avoid having very young kids on the bus with the older kids, and so it solved a problem, but it may be creating another one for families. I mean, if the kids had to all, I mean, yeah, I mean, I guess timing is what it is.
No, I don't know if this was here last year for bus services. We talked about maybe some smaller buses, vans and stuff like that. Is that anything that's a possibility, that to be looking at a bus that could just take 6 kids?
Right now, we do use vans. In fact, we're using vans for special ed transportation, and that's where we've been able to save using vans rather than an entire bus. Again, I'm working with First Student to see if what we can do for some of these outstanding issues to see if we can, get a van instead of an entire bus. A van is less expensive, but it's still, it's a driver. There's still a cost to it, and in a van, off the top of my head, I have to go back and see what we pay for a van a day. I think we pay for the bus right now $446.50 a day, and I think the van is $331. So those numbers, please. That's off the top of my head.
Okay. I understand the different schedules between middle school, high school, and elementary. What if, this obviously isn't going to happen tomorrow, but if we plan for those all to be kind of at the same time and then had just bus routes for areas with commingled kids, and then we just worked internally on our cultural issues with big kids being obnoxious in front of little kids. It's like a whole leadership thing. We made it quick. Okay.
I feel like the divide between the younger and older kids is sadly like a good thing. Be brutally honest, I was bullied by the big kids on my bus. They threw quarters at me. So and pennies, yeah. And they ripped up like, well, what was it? I think it was stress balls, and they were like stuff them in people's ears. It was weird. Um, but yeah, although it's a good idea, I feel like the divide might need to stay a little bit longer.
Um, did you did you mean like bringing the schools together for like same start times or just okay? Because I remember my sister's grade versus my grade, the start times changed for a reason because there were like studies shown about how sleep actually helps teenagers like comprehend more in the morning. So while Grady's point, it like bullying happens, but also I feel like the cognitive part having a later start for the older kids when they're learning more lengthy stuff is probably better. But I do like your idea.
Yeah, everybody walk. Just get out there and walk. Okay. All right, we're going to move on from that discussion. We've covered the timeline. And now we're going to move on to talking about the survey. Everybody got the survey, right? So that was preliminary, that we like the look of it, but we're open to suggestions, additions. Go ahead, Bobby.
I think it was great, and I looked at it earlier. I think questions 4 and 5 are somewhat confusing and difficult. Okay. Oh, I have to look at the survey. Wait a minute. Okay, so on the survey, there's question 4. What do you see as strengths of the current Harwood district, HUUSD district structure? I wouldn't even know how to answer that. And
That's why those are highlighted, because they are wonky. We don't know how we want to make those make sense.
well, I think actually I was looking at it. I didn't even realize you had them highlighted. I highlighted them again, and then what do you see as challenges? But then question 6 is what opportunities might exist for students and staff? So if they became part of a larger district, and what risks or concerns? I mean, I think that those might accommodate the same kind of issues. And so my vote is to just drop them.
That is an easy solution. I like it. Does anyone else have input? Rebecca, go ahead.
Same concerns. I read it and I was like, well, this is one I'm not going to answer anymore. And then I thought when you get to the question about how long should kids sit on the bus, maybe front loading that, because that's a really easy thing to answer to kind of engage people to get them up further. Everybody's got an opinion on that one.
I liked the questions 6 and 7, which we were just talking about, was kind of taking out 4 and 5 and switching to 6 and 7. But as a survey taker and as someone who's put on a lot of surveys, I wonder if we're actually going to get any meaningful responses to an open-ended question. And I'm wondering if we should include some like suggested ideas in a parenthesis, like some opportunities that we have for staff could be more sports teams, better theater access. They just include some ideas so that people can kind of have some like interest versus like in the risks, longer bus routes, less local concern, just so that people have some ideas of what to put in as opposed to just like, I don't know, nothing.
In every campus. Anyone else with input? I mean, the idea is, we have to engage the public about this. I mean, and very few people seem in my orbit, very few people seem to have a single solitary idea about it. Nobody, they don't even know it happened. They don't know that the law got, or that the law got made, and so I think the idea is just to get people thinking that there are questions to be answered about this. Those are good points. We want it to be simple so people will do it. Someone got in touch and said we should get it out to people that don't have computers. If anyone has input on how we can do that, we can produce a physical written survey, and we could have it available somewhere. I don't know if anyone has input. JB, go ahead. Yeah, town offices, we could have them available. Library. Grady. And yes, we do want students to fill it out.
Might be a kind of a stupid question, but so obviously this was like the act was something that was passed on a state level. This is like there's a lot of state involvement in all of this. What weight does this actually have in the deciding of the redistrict and everything? So like, the answers we get from this actually like
See them. We're gonna share this information with the redistricting task force. It's narrative where there isn't much narrative right now. We're trying to um, you know, answer questions, get people thinking about how different things are going to be. So the answer is I don't know, but we're going to submit it.
I want to follow up on Grady's question is that I actually think maybe the main focus of the questionnaire is to get people in the district thinking about what Act 73 is going to mean for them.
One clarifying question is, and one comment afterwards, but was this asked for by the redistricting committee? Okay. But I mean, I'm glad they're receiving it because they weren't mandated to take any input. So that's good at least.
We know that districts are talking to each other. The undercurrent has begun everywhere. It's just, and they want to hear what people think, hear what we think for us. So it's definitely what Steve said. We have to get people to realize this is like ongoing right now and changes are going to happen. There could be great ideas come from anyone. So, oh, go ahead.
We just next to Act 73, we could put in parentheses H454 because some people have heard of that and not Act 73. Like I didn't know what Act 73 was until I read about it. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Oh, good. I just want to point out that on the redistricting committee's website for their upcoming meeting this Friday, they have posted a link to a survey that they are also conducting. And it's pretty lengthy and it has some questions that we might want to borrow from. Okay, great.
Check.
Awesome.
Their survey, which I filled out, and with some help from Steve, and we use that to build. Go ahead, Bobby.
You also say you were going to try to get the ability to testify to the committee. Have you? Okay, and then you could present the survey findings.
Plan. Cindy and I are going to go. We're going to bring our survey results, and we're going to be on the ready to. Steve, and then Dan.
Am I right that we need board approval to put out this survey? A motion and, okay.
Second.
Just first.
We could do that. What is the third to last meeting date?
For 28th.
I like that idea. We only shifted it to the end because it felt like more like the end of the month, but we could do that. We can shift it back to 26 or 7.
You're potentially testifying at as well.
I mean, that is all the and if anyone should they think we should act up for it, that was a good tip. Those were clunky. We are going to move on. I had a little discussion piece about the redistricting update. The update is really that the only map so far submitted was by Woke, Senator Woke. Is that his name? WOLK. I know it's an odd name for today. He submitted a map, the initial map with 13 districts, 15 districts, all with a career center or 2 in them. That was kind of, and it was just really throwing something out. That's really the only update. And they are aware, they are acutely aware that we are all waiting. They know. We've heard it firsthand. So that's my update. Does anyone have anything they want to add to restricting update right now? I mean, next thing we're going to have a survey. We'll be in the thick of it before we know it. Yep, go ahead.
These are on YouTube. So if any of you have an afternoon or a day or a morning that you'd like to spend and listen to them, it's pretty significant stuff for us, even though it seems insignificant when you hear how it goes. I don't know. It just, if any of you do, please feel free to, when we have these discussions, to tell us, oh yeah, I heard him saying that. Thanks.
Okay, we are going to move on to action items. There are not very many. There are just 2. The first is to approve the survey that we just worked on a little bit. And the second is to approve the $56,000 roof replacement at BPS for the funding to come maintenance reserve. So can someone make a motion? Emily makes a motion. Do we have a second? JB, we're doing, I thought actually, oh, so a first and second to accept the survey. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anybody say nay or abstain? I'm going to change. I'm going to change all that. Then, so that would. The next action item is to approve the $56,000 for BPS's roof to come out of the maintenance reserve. Do I have a motion? Bobby makes a motion. JB seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any nays or abstentions? Last item is the consent agenda. Today, that includes approving the HUUSD ADA Sports Leadership Conference. It's just a few students and it's paid externally or by their committee, their little fund. What's it called? Activity funds. To approve the 924 2025 and 925, 2025 warrants totaling $1,034,988.53, and to approve the minutes from 9/24's meeting. Do I have a motion? Or is there any discussion or questions? Go for it.
I realize that they have external funds that are paying for the trip, but again, it's 4 students, and I noticed they've booked well, it says they've booked a bus. I mean, did I read that correctly? Yeah.
This is all activity funds though.
To rephrase the question, where do the activity funds come from? So this is all paid for by fundraising. So they're
Fundraising, so they raise, they carry from year to year to year. They do fundraising, and they have what's activity. Harwood has activity funds, and within the activity funds, each different group fundraises, and we have it all segregated by what group is fundraised. One of our contracted services.
Okay.
It comes out of there. It's not coming out of the general fund. It's covered.
Go ahead.
There's a staff chaperone. He can't drive them?
Yes, yes, yeah.
I actually was invited to go to this, so I'll be attending, and I do believe that it is our athletic director, Ian. He will be driving us. I think we're taking a short bus.
It's a short bus.
Yeah. So
It's a van.
Let's call it a little van.
It's a van.
Okay.
It's a van.
All right. It's not
covered.
a whole bus, and
Right.
the bus is being driven by the athletic director. Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah, I actually went to this last year and I'm going again to help out. But yeah, it was a van and we got we got everything paid for when we were there too. So none of the money's coming out of our thing. So it was a very good experience for students actually.
Where is it?
Actually,
Okay.
could I make one comment?
Yes, you may.
I was gonna say, I think we want to have students taking the buses because you don't want coaches or parents driving students in their personal cars because of liability issues. If there's an accident or something bad happens, you want the bus. So good job fundraising the bus.
Little bus they're taking. It's a little van. It's just a tiny little, a very economical van. Okay.
I'd also like to say congrats on going to this last year and again this year. There's only 4 students, but it's a leadership thing. You're sending people there who are developing leadership skills and talents, and that will expand to all the other kids in the organizations they represent. I was really pleased when I read that whole piece, and 4 students really is like 16 students or something in a way.
Hey, any other questions on the consent agenda? That's the leadership conference, the warrants, and the minutes. And we are looking for a motion. JB makes a motion, second. Rebecca seconds. All those in favor of accepting the consent agenda say aye. Aye. Any noes or abstentions? Okay. Wow. Yay. All right. We have arrived at the end of the meeting. I am looking for a motion to adjourn. Emily makes one. JB seconds. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay.